Hello and good day again. Today I have Mr. David Spink with me. Mr. Spink is an environmental engineer with over 40 years of experience dealing with air quality and odor issues, mostly in Alberta. He is one of the key consultants in developing regulations and monitoring strategies for odor management in the province of Alberta. Mr. Spink, you've been involved in odor management in Alberta for decades, actually. Why do you think Alberta, or do you think Alberta, is ready for odor regulations?
I think they are. We've had some fairly high-profile odor issues that have hit the political level, and one in particular in Peace River involving heavy oil and oil sands, and an expert panel under the new Alberta energy regulator was formed, and out of that panel came a recommendation that Alberta a criticism that the current management system in the province was not adequate to address the type of odor issues and concerns that occurred in the Peace River area, and that there was a need to enhance the current management and regulatory system. And one of the recommendations was that they develop a sensory-based ambient air quality objective to guide odor management and air quality management in the province.
That criticisms and recommendations, did that come from the court, or who did that come from?
Well, that came from a panel of commissioners associated with the Alberta energy regulator, which is now the regulatory body that regulates all the oil and gas sector, which is of course a big sector in the province of Alberta, and other sectors in the province are regulated by Alberta Environment and Parks, but they work hand in hand, of course, because you can't treat different industries differently in terms of the regulatory approach and fairness. So our hope is that we will see some advancement in terms of more specific guidance requirements, whatever form that takes, in terms of a better, more comprehensive regulatory approach to dealing with odors.
And how do you think that could affect the industry?
Well, I think industry, and the oil and gas industry in particular, but all the industry recognizes that the public's tolerance for odors seems to be going down, and that the politicians also recognize, as they did in Peace River, because it became very, very political, and the local MLA was concerned that he wasn't going to get reelected because there was just this community backlash, in part because the problem was not being solved and they were not happy, but they really felt that the government wasn't looking after the public interest. Now I've forgotten your question.
I was asking for the industry, the impacts on the industry.
Right, and so I think in that case, and part of that panel that I mentioned earlier had a whole bunch of industries appeared, and most of those industries said, yes, we need better regulation, because they were all getting painted with the same brush in that industry, you're not doing enough, whereas some of the industries were actually doing a very good job, but the whole industry in that area got a black eye. And so many of the industry, and these were bigger companies like Shell, said, please give us better regulations. So I believe that industry wants it.
Give us guidance.
Give us guidance, right? Yes. So we know what we have to do, because right now we don't know what we have to do.
Oh, that's interesting. And you're mentioning that it's very political. Do you think that the change of the provincial government that you've had recently and the federal elections that are coming up pretty soon, do you think that that will impact all the upcoming, potentially, odor regulation?
I think it will. I think the new government has sent a clear signal that they feel that the environmental protection has not been given a high enough priority. And so the feeling is that these types of environmental issues, and odors are a big environmental issue, will be a higher priority, and just a signal to the government departments, with the government saying, hey, environmental protection, better environmental management is a priority, empowers them to start to work on some things that before they felt that, what's the point? We're not going to get anywhere with it. And, certainly at the conference yesterday, there was that presentation about the community of Fort Mackay and oil sands and odor and health effects. And Health Canada has been involved in that. And so there is this recognition that, and from the health community as well, that they have to take an active role, because when there are odors and health concerns, they fall on their lap. And generally they have enough problems without dealing with odors as well. So they've actually, in Alberta, they've been pushing for better. The health people have been saying, hey, manage these things better. Why are we having to deal with these problems? And in part, we know that odor problems are challenging, but a lot of the problems would have been preventable if there'd been guidance in terms of these new facilities, in terms of their emission management, fugitive emissions management in particular. So the future looks bright in Alberta in terms of odor management. That's my hope.
Well, that's good. That's just the last question on that hope. Challenges in implementing those regulations. Do you see anything that would slow down the process, or actually slow down the implementation of odor management? Or
Well, I think the challenge for us is going to be in terms of, if we do move to odor units, it's going to be setting the odor unit values that we manage to. And in fact, I'm involved in the committee that develops ambient air quality objectives for Alberta. And we've actually been struggling with our current objective for hydrogen sulfide. And so I can see that'll be a challenge. And but we just have to get on with it. And normally those things take, based on past experience, 1 or 2 years to develop those, because it's developed in a collaborative consensus process. So, but fortunately we have lots of other jurisdictions that have odor units, so we're not starting from square one.
That's good to know. And Alberta will have the tool that the guidance documents that that's going to be published pretty soon. Odor management guide. So at least that's going to be of great help. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Spink, and thank you, ladies and gentlemen.